So we have Kauravas and we have Pandavas. Okay, so these Kauravas are their 100 brothers, and Pandavas they are 5 brothers. So both of them, the Kauravas and the Pandav, ये दोनों कौन है? Cousins हैं. और ये किसके character हैं? महाभारत के character हैं. This whole chapter, this whole story is a part of Mahabharat. Mahabharat में ऐसा सब हुआ था, and that's why we are reading this story. This is an excerpt from Mahabharat. This whole story, with this whole chapter of yours. So you know that Kauravas were the villains of the Mahabharat, and Pandavas were the heroes of Mahabharat. Okay, so and these Pandavas and Kauravas, these two cousins, they always used to keep fighting for the kingdom. In दोनों में लड़ाई किस बात की थी? Kauravas said that we want to be the king, and Pandavas said that we want to be the king. But king can only be one, right? So the Kauravas and Pandavas, they used to keep fighting about the throne, about the king. Okay, and Kauravas, as since they were villains, right? So they always used cunning ways to harm Pandavas. कि Pandavas को हम कैसे harm कर सके, Pandavas को हम कैसे अलग अलग तरीके हम अपनाए, उनको अलग अलग टेक्निक्स आती थी, अलग अलग ट्रिक्स आते थे, and that's why they always thought of harming Pandavas anyhow. Their whole aim was to harm Pandavas, and so that they cannot become the kings. So what happens once there is a game of Chaucer. So what is Chaucer now? Chaucer is just like Ludo, you know. Ludo is a game. So Chaucer was also a game. You play it with dice. You play it with, you have आपके उसमें गोटियां होती है चलने के लिए. You have dice. So Chaucer was a very old game, and Pandavas and Kauravas are playing that. And what happens in that? Pandavas lose. Okay, and they are asked, Kauravas, as Pandavas lose the game, so Kauravas asked Pandavas to go for an exile of 12 years. Pandavas have lost their kingdom, Pandavas have lost all their money, and they are asked to go on an exile for 12 years. उनको देश निकाला दे दिया जाता है, उनको घर से निकाल दिया जाता है, और उनको फॉरेस्ट में भेज दिया जाता है. उनके पास कोई मनी नहीं है, कोई घर नहीं है, nothing. They don't have anything now. They have lost all of their property. So now when Pandavas are living in exile for 12 years, but Kauravas are Kauravas, they want to know that how Pandavas are doing in the forest. कि पांडव वहां पे कैसे रह रहे हैं, कैसे नहीं रह रहे, उनको आराम से, उनको प्रॉब्लम तो हो रही है नहीं हो रही है, क्योंकि उनका सारा काम क्या है कि हमको पांडव को प्रॉब्लम देनी है, पांडव को मुसीबत देनी है. And that's why they want to know that what is going on with them. So what do? They send a spy to check how the Pandavas are living in the forest. And the spy goes back to the Kauravas, and he sees that the Pandavas are living very nicely, that the Pandavas are living in very beautiful forest. The forest is very beautiful. It has fruit laden trees, बहुत सारे fruit वाले trees, and there's a beautiful river which has clear water as crystal. So when Pandavas see that, when Kauravas see this, that the Pandavas are living in such a beautiful place, they become jealous of them. कि हमने तो इनको exile पे भेजा था, पर फिर भी ये इतनी सुंदर जगह पे रह रहे हैं. So what do? Duryodhan. Who is Duryodhan? Duryodhan is the eldest brother in Kauravas. Kauravas जो 100 भाई हैं, उसके अंदर सबसे बड़ा है दुर्योधन, and he is the most cunning of all. सबसे ज्यादा cunning जो है, सबसे ज्यादा चालाक भी वही है. So what does he plan? He and his maternal uncle Shakuni, what do they plan? That we will go with an army in the forest. So when they go to the army in the forest, they decide that the beautiful crystal clear river, ये जो सुंदर सी river है crystal clear, इसको हम poison कर देंगे. That we will poison the water of this river. Okay, so this is their plan, that they will poison the river, and when the Pandavas will drink the water from the river, they will die. Because the Kauravas don't want that the Pandavas come back and take their throne. The Kauravas don't want that Pandavas come back to their kingdom and take the whole kingdom, because the Kauravas want to be the king, and they don't want the Pandavas to be the king. वो नहीं चाहते कि पांडव राजा बने और पांडव जो है मर जाए, ताकि वो कभी वापस ही नहीं आए. So what do they decide to do? They decide that they will put poison into the river, and so that the Pandavas will die, and they will drink the river when they will drink the water from the river. Okay, so that's all about the chapter we have learned till now, and I have given you this assignment. Okay, these 3 questions. So why the Pandavas were living in exile? The Pandavas were living in exile because they had lost the game of Chaucer, which they played with Kauravas. उन्होंने Kauravas के साथ में गेम खेला था Chaucer का, and they lost the game, and that's why they had to live in exile. Exile का मतलब क्या होता है? वनवास, देश निकाला. आपको घर से निकाल दिया जाता है और आपको फॉरेस्ट में रहना है, वन में रहना है. So वनवास जो होता है उसको कहते हैं exile. So next one, what report was given by the spy about the Pandavas? जो spy जो कौरव्स ने भेजा था, उसने पांडव्स को जाके क्या, सॉरी जो हाँ, उसने कौरव्स को जाके क्या रिपोर्ट दी पांडव्स के बारे में? The spy reported that the Pandavas were living very happily. Okay, so what does this spy report? That the Pandavas are living very, very happily. Third one, who decided to harm the Pandavas and what decision was made by him? So who decides that we will harm the Pandavas? Who decides that? It is decided by Shakuni, and the wicked Shakuni, the Mama Shakuni, he decides that we will harm the Pandavas. And how? What decision do they make? How do they decide to harm the Pandavas? They decide to pour poison into the river so that when the Pandavas drink water from the river, they will die. So this is their whole plan कि हम river के अंदर poison डाल देंगे. Poison मतलब जहर डाल देंगे. River के अंदर हम जहर डाल देंगे so that the Kauravas, so that the Pandavas will die, so that they never come back and they will die of the poison. Okay, children. So let's start with the chapter. And also, if my voice, if the chapter is not clearly visible to you on the screen, you can take out the books. Okay. If the chapter is not clearly visible to you on your screens and you're not able to read the chapter, you can take out the books and you can read the chapter in that. Okay. Okay, so let's start with the chapter then. Okay, where is it? Wait, children, wait, just wait for a second. Okay, so what happens in the chapter? Some people are joining now. The latecomers just join now. Okay, so what is happening? Okay, so now what happens? That the Kauravas decide that they will rest by the riverside and they will poison that river. So at that time, the Chitrasen who? Chitrasen is a king. Okay, Chitrasen is the very, very famous king, and he is also residing in the same forest. Okay, so Chitrasen jo hai, ek raja hai, and he's a great Gandharva. Gandharva is a community. Okay, Gandharva is a type of king. So he's a Gandharv king. जैसे पांडव्स हैं, कौरव्स हैं, वैसे ही चित्रसेन जो है वो भी एक king है. Okay, just a second, children. Some people are joining really, really late. So I request all of you, those who are joining now, just come on time, children, so that we can start the chapter and there is no disturbance of admitting the people, so that we can start the chapter on time. Okay, so let's move towards the chapter. At that time, Chitrasen, a great Gandharv, he was also residing in the same forest. So the forest in which the Pandavas are residing and the forest in which the Kauravas come to kill the Pandavas. Chitrasen is a very, very great king and he is also living in the same forest. Chitrasen bhi wahi reh raha hai. And he was told that some people were poisoning the water of the river. और उनको क्या information मिलती है कि कुछ लोग आए हैं, कुछ लोग मतलब कौन? कौरव्स आए हैं और वो क्या कर रहे हैं? अब जो रिवर है हमारी, जो फॉरेस्ट की रिवर है, they are pouring poison into that. वो उसके अंदर जहर डाल रहे हैं. He became very, very angry and rushed to the Kauravs camp with his followers. So now what happens? The Chitrasen, this king, this very, very great king, he becomes very angry and he rushes to Kauravs camp. वो कहाँ जाते हैं? Kauravs के camp की तरफ जाते हैं. with his followers. So he goes with an army to the Kauravs camp. कौरव के कैंप की तरफ जाते हैं. कौरव्स का कैंप मतलब जहाँ पे कौरव्स थोड़े टाइम के लिए रेस्ट के लिए रुके हैं रिवर के साइड में. Chitrasen recognized them. So Chitrasen recognized them. To recognize someone means what? आप किसी को पहचान लेते हो. To recognize means पहचान लेना. So Chitrasen recognized the Kauravas. उसको पहचान में आ गया कि ये लोग कौन है? ये कौरव हैं. So what does he say then? I know who you are. You are poisoning the river. Okay. So you are poisoning the river to kill the Pandavas. I am going to teach you a lesson. So now Chitrasen sees कि क्या हो रहा है वहाँ पे. He says, Kauravas को क्या कहता है? I know what you are doing. You are planning to poison my river. You are planning to poison the river of my kingdom so that the Pandavas die. So now I am going to teach you a lesson. अब मैं तुमको सबक सिखाऊंगा. Now I am going to punish you. Okay, so Gandharv king Chitrasen, he decides that he will punish the Kauravas for poisoning the river. उसकी river है, उसके kingdom की river है, and they are poisoning it. And that's why Gandharv king Chitrasen, he becomes very, very angry and he decides to punish the Kauravas. Duryodhan shouted. So Duryodhan now, who's Duryodhan? Duryodhan is the eldest of all the Kauravas. Kauravas के अंदर जो सबसे बड़ा है वो दुर्योधन है. So Duryodhan shouts. So you know who we are. तो दुर्योधन क्या बोलता है? तो आपको पता है कि हम कौन हैं. If you want to remain alive, stop talking. अगर आपको जिंदा रहना है, दुर्योधन हम उसको धमकी दे रहा है चित्रसेन को, that if you want to live, if you want to remain alive, आपको जिंदा रहना है, तो just stop talking, just don't talk anything to us and हमको surrender कर दो. Surrender करना मतलब कि आपने सारे जो हथियार और आप जो आर्मी लेके आए हो, वो हमारे सामने रख दो कि हम तुमको हार्म नहीं करेंगे. Surrender yourselves as our slaves, otherwise we will kill you all. So now what does Duryodhan say? That if you want to remain alive, अगर आपको जिंदा रहना है, तो आप surrender कर दो और हमारे slave बन जाओ, हमारे दास बन जाओ, okay, हमारे गुलाम बन जाओ आप सब लोग. Don't you see a great army? So Duryodhan has also come with a great army. So he says, देखो, वो धमकी देता है कि मेरे पास बहुत बड़ी आर्मी है, हम सब आपको kill कर देंगे और आपको slave बना देंगे, आपको गुलाम बना देंगे. So with these words, he ordered his men to fight the Gandharvas. So now दुर्योधन और गांधर्व किंग जो था उनकी लड़ाई हो गई. दुर्योधन ने भी धमकी दे दी और चित्रसेन is also angry with them because they are poisoning the river. So now there becomes a fight between Gandharv king Chitrasen and who? And the Kauravas. Okay, children, so let's move towards the oral response questions then. They might not be visible on the screen, but you can take out the books and the oral response questions will be in that. Okay, it is not on the screen, but you can take out your books and check the oral response questions there. So question number 1, who was residing in the same forest? Who was residing in the same forest? Okay, so I hope the page is visible to you all. Children, the page is visible, right? The screen is visible to you all? Screen is visible, everyone. Screen is visible. Okay, cool. So in the battle, so now this Chitrasen and Gandharv जो है, Gandharv, Chitrasen and Kauravas की क्या हुई? Fight हो गई उनकी. Okay, they started fighting. In the battle, Gandharvs proved superior and stronger. And what happens in the battle? जो गांधर्व जो हैं, जो चित्रसेन था, he proved superior and stronger. Okay, so ये ज़्यादा superior हो गए, ज़्यादा stronger हो गए. Countless warriors and soldiers of Kauravas were killed. और जो कौरव के बहुत सारे soldiers, बहुत सारे warriors, they were killed. Even the Kauravas were captured. So who lost in the battle? Kauravas lost in the battle and they were captured by Gandharvs. The Gandharvs tied the Kauravas to their chariots and started their homeward journey. Okay, so Gandharv ने क्या किया? Kauravas को अपने रथ में बांध दिया and they took them home और उनको अपने घर ले जाने लगे, उनको slave बना के. तो दुर्योधन was asking कि हम आपको slave बना देंगे, but क्या हुआ? उल्टा हुआ. गांधर्व किंग चित्रसेन ने कौरव्स को अपना स्लेव बना दिया. Having no way of escape, so अब कौरव्स के पास कोई तरीका नहीं था कि वो escape कर जाए, वहां से भाग ले. तो what happens? Having no way of escape, the Kauravas called out loudly to Pandavas for help. So अब कौरव्स चिल्लाने लगे कि पांडव हमारी हेल्प करो. उनको पता था पांडव वही फॉरेस्ट में रहते हैं. So they start shouting that Pandavas, please help us. The Pandavas heard their pitiable cries, and then Pandavas heard that all the Kauravas are calling for help. Pandavas ने सुना कि कौरव जो है हमें help के लिए बुला रहे हैं. So the eldest Pandav, Dharmaputra Yudhishthir. So who is eldest of all the Pandavas? It's Yudhishthir. Okay. And who is eldest of all the Kauravas? It's Duryodhana. So the eldest Pandav, Dharmaputra Yudhishthir, said to his brothers, उसने अपने brothers को क्या बोला? पांडव ने, I hear the Kauravas are in trouble. मुझे लगता है जो Kauravas हैं वो मुसीबत में हैं. Go and help them. चलो उनका help करते हैं हम. Bhim, the strongest of the Pandavas. So who is Bhim? Bhim is the strongest of the Pandavas. जो पांडव जो 5 भाई हैं, उनमें सबसे बड़ा है युधिष्ठिर, and जो सबसे strong है, सबसे जो ताकतवर है, he is Bhim. So what does Bhim reply to this request of Yudhishthir? Bhim says, I know what has happened to them. Bhim बोलता है मुझे पता है उनके साथ क्या हुआ है. गांधर्व जो किंग है चित्रसेन, उन्होंने उनको बंदी बना लिया है, उन्होंने उनको गुलाम बना लिया है, उनको पकड़ के ले जा रहे हैं. They had come to the forest to harm us, but they had a fight with Chitrasen, who defeated and enslaved them. So now Bhim tells what has happened to Kauravas, that the Kauravas came to the forest to harm Pandavas, but they had a fight with Chitrasen, and now the Kauravas got defeated, and the Chitrasen is taking them to home. The Kauravas are our enemies, and their only aim is to ruin us. And जो कौरव जो है हमारे एनिमी है, कौरव हमारे पांडव्स के एनिमी है, हमारे दुश्मन है. सो उनका सिर्फ एम क्या है कि हमको बर्बाद कर दे. Let them be taken as slaves by चित्रसेन. तो उनको आप चित्रसेन को ले जाने दो. अब कौरव और पांडव तो आपस में दुश्मन है ना, एंड अगर आपका दुश्मन को कोई लेके जा रहा है, दुश्मन को आपको कोई स्लेव बना रहा है, तो आप इट इज गुड फॉर यू, राइट? सो भीम सेज कि उनको चित्रसेन को ले जाने दो. कि किसको ले जाने दो? कौरव्स को चित्रसेन पकड़ के ले जा रहा है, उनको ले जाने दो. Who proved to be superior and stronger in the battle? Chitrasen proved to be superior and stronger in the battle. Second one, who was the eldest Pandav? We know, right? Who is the eldest Pandav? Dharmaputra Yudhishthir is the eldest of the Pandavas. Okay, children, just note these answers all these questions, oral response questions also in your book only, so that they might also come in your exams. Okay, these oral response questions are also important, and they might be coming in your exams. They might be coming in your half yearly exams. So just don't ignore the oral response questions, and also note them down. When we are discussing oral response questions, they are really, really important. Okay, so not just the exercise is important for you, but the oral response questions are equally important. Okay, so let's move towards question number 2. Who was the eldest Pandav? Dharmaputra Yudhishthir was the eldest Pandav. Who was the strongest Pandav? Bhim is the strongest Pandav. Kartikeya Sharma, you are trying to enter the class now. When the class is going to end, let me admit you first. Kartikeya Sharma, you have come to the class now. Kartikeya Sharma. So this is not the time to enter the class, okay? Today I have let you enter, but from tomorrow onwards, if you come late, I will not let you. And I have just admitted you to the class so that I can tell you that from tomorrow onwards, you will not be allowed to enter the class so late. When the class is going to end in just 5 minutes, this is not the time to come in the class, okay, dear? Okay, so let's move towards question number 4. Whom did Kauravas called out for help? Kauravas ने किसको help के लिए बुलाया? Pandavas को help के लिए बुलाया. Okay, so just note down these questions, children, in the book itself. Okay, let's move towards the chapter. Yes, indeed, they are our enemies. They are our enemies, said Dharmaputra. अब धर्मपुत्र युधिष्ठिर ने क्या कहा? हाँ बिल्कुल, वो हमारे दुश्मन हैं. कौन? कौरव हमारे दुश्मन हैं. Kauravas are our enemies. But they are our cousins. लेकिन वो हमारे भाई भी हैं. वो हमारे cousins भी हैं. And they are in danger. They are seeking our help, so we should help them. So now what does Yudhishthir say? That Kauravas, although Kauravas are our enemies, हमारे enemies हैं Kauravas, लेकिन वो हमारे cousins हैं, हमारे भाई हैं, और वो मुसीबत में हैं, so we should help them. See how good Kauravas are, how noble Pandavas are. Sorry, it's my mistake. How good and kind-hearted and noble people are Pandavas. कि आपका दुश्मन अगर मुसीबत में है बट वो आपके भाई हैं कौरव्स, दैट्स व्हाई यू आर हेल्पिंग देम आउट. So that's how a hero is. Next one. Arjun said that he would go and set them free. So Arjun ne kaha ki Arjun is also one of the Pandavas. So we have learnt about three Pandavas now. One is Dhurmputra Yudhishthir, the eldest of all the Pandavas. Next one is Bhim, who is the strongest of all Pandavas. And the third one is Arjun. Arjun said that he would go and set them free. Arjun ne bola ki main unko chhada ke le aaunga. Bhim could not stay behind. So Bhim and Arjun went to help Kauravas. Okay, and now what did they do? भीम एंड अर्जुन जो है उन्होंने क्या किया, कौरव्स को हेल्प करने चले गए. They met Chitrasen and told him that he would have to set the Kauravas free. So now what happens? चित्रसेन के पास जाते हैं कौन, अर्जुन और भीम, एंड उनको वो चित्रसेन को क्या बोलते हैं, they said that you have to set the Kauravas free, कि आपको कौरव्स को छोड़ना पड़ेगा, वो हमारे cousins हैं. Chitrasen was surprised that the Pandavas had come to help the Kauravas, though they were bent upon ruining them. अब चित्रसेन was surprised by this nature of Pandavas कि आपके ये तो आपके दुश्मन है, कौरव्स तो आपके दुश्मन है, फिर भी आप बोल रहे हो कि इनको छोड़ दो. Chitrasen was a friend of Pandavas. Chitrasen जो था, he was a friend of Pandavas and did not want to fight with them. And Chitrasen did not want to fight with Pandavas. So he accepts the request of Pandavas. Pandavas ने क्या request की कि आप हमारे cousins दुर्योधन और जो कौरव्स हैं दूसरे, उनको आप छोड़ दो, उनको आप slave मत बनाओ, उनको आप बंदी मत बनाओ. So he freed Kauravas. ठीक है, तो अब चित्रसेन क्या करता है, वो कौरव्स को छोड़ देता है, कौरव्स को slave नहीं बनाता है. He told the Pandavas that he was much impressed by their nobility. And what does he tell Pandavas? कि मैं आपकी nobility से, आपके अच्छी nature से, आपके महान nature से बहुत बहुत खुश हुआ, बहुत बहुत impress हुआ. That you are, आपके जो दुश्मन हैं, आपके जो enemies हैं, उनको भी आप harm नहीं पहुंचाना चाहते. So you are such great, such noble persons. They came to help those who wanted to put an end to their lives by poisoning the river. कौरव्स तो आए थे उनको मारने के लिए, कौरव्स तो आए थे ताकि रिवर को पॉइजन कर दे और पांडव्स मर जाएं, लेकिन फिर भी वो मुसीबत में आए तो पांडव्स ने उनको हेल्प किया, पांडव्स ने उनको छुड़वाने आए. The Kauravas returned home in great shame. So अब कौरव को छोड़ दिया किसने, चित्रसेन ने, एंड अब कौरव्स को एक शर्म से घर जाना पड़ा वापस, क्योंकि वो आए थे पांडव्स को मारने के लिए, लेकिन they had to go in shame. Okay children, so oral response question. What did Dharmputra said about the Kauravas? Dharmputra ने क्या कहा कौरव्स के बारे में? Who will answer children this question? What did Dharmputra? Dharmputra is Yudhishthir, the eldest of all the Pandavas. So what did he say about